What's up, everybody? Brickhouse Garage here. We're gonna do a prep of, we're going to the track today over at Big Country Raceway, and I'm just gonna go over some things you should do before you go out to the track, just for safety's sake and the safety of everybody else out there. So we're gonna start with putting on our drag tires. I'm gonna go over what kind of tires we have to run today, and we'll go from there. All right, so the first thing you want to do if you're getting ready to go to the track is make sure you check all your fluids, check all your belts, check all your hose connections to make sure you got no leaks. You're not running low on oil. If your oil looks bad, just change it, because you're going to be running really high RPMs and you're going to want that lubrication to prevent any kind of failure. So we're going to just check all our hoses, make sure nothing's leaking, give them a squeeze, and check your caps, check all your loose stuff. Here's my oil. If you're running an automatic transmission on a newer car, you might get away with not having to check the transmission fluid, but because it's a sealed case, so it doesn't get changed on some of the newer transmissions. If you had an older automatic transmission, you would have a dipstick back here that you would be checking on this car. On other cars, it could be anywhere else. So check on my belts, make sure nothing's frayed. Pro Charger, I'm gonna make sure that my tension's really good on my belt, because I don't want any slippage at the track. And check your air filter, make sure you're getting good air. So now that we're done kind of looking around on the top side, I'm gonna put the car up on the lift and we're gonna take a look underneath. So I'm gonna go pause it, we'll put the car up, I'll get you a better camera angle, and we'll go from there. Once you get up off the ground, you're going to shake it a little bit, make sure it's not going to fall off the lift. I've done this a thousand times. Once you hear the locks engaged, we're going to come down and set on the locks nice and easy. There we go. Alright, so now we're under the car. We're just looking for any really bad leaks. Transmission fluid, maybe your oil filter's a little loose. Maybe the plug for your oil pan is loose. You're going to check out your suspension, make sure nothing's rotted out, nothing's going to fall apart. Check your brake lines, make sure nothing's dry rotted or frayed. And it looks good on this side. We're going to walk our way across. We're going to check all our tubing and hoses down here. Got our trans cooler tubes. We got the bottom half of our radiator tubing, which is right there. And then we're going to come over and check this side. All right, all joints look good. Tubing looks good. Work our way back. Transmission line. And look for any wires hanging down. So you might have, say, your O2 sensor extensions or anything. Make sure they're not touching the manifolds. You don't want to start throwing coats because you're running super hot. These are long tube headers. And with the extensions, you tend to have issues. Right here, I got some bad fraying on my O2 sensor. So we're going to clean that up with some tape. Looks like it got hit by something. So that's another advantage of going over the track and just doing these pre-inspections, is you get to look around underneath the car and see if anything is wrong. A lot of people don't usually do it, so they don't know until something breaks bad. You can catch stuff a little early. These are all the connections for my roll cage right here. So I'll address that little bit of fraying on the O2 sensor. Looks like it got grabbed by something and scraped up. And then we're going to change our tires, and I'll talk to you about how to pick the right tire for your application and why you want to go to a drag radial at a drag strip. So we'll be right back. All right, so now we got the car off in the air. We're getting ready to pull the tire off. I got one more lug nut here. So I just wanted you to look at the tread on these street tires. So if you see there's a lot of tread and traction here, little gaps for all the debris and the water to get into to give you better traction out on the road. So that's super crucial when you're out there driving on the road because it gives you a better opportunity to get more contact between the tire and the road. So what we're looking for is good tread openings on your street tires. Now, when you go over to drag tires, these are brand new, so they don't have a lot of wear on them. And you can see there's only very minimal grooves in here because we want to get as much contact between the tire and the strip as possible so we can put down as much horsepower as possible, because that's 90% of the problem when you go to the track is getting traction. You're pretty much running on a piece of rubber. So you want rubber contact as much as you can get to get it to stick to it. It's also why you see them do burnouts, is they want to heat their tires up so it sticks to that rubber. If you look at the fronts on these drag tires, you can see they're only about 4 inches wide. Steering's not really a big factor out there. If you lose traction, you know, you have to be able to get it back in the square. But you want those front tires as light as possible, just because you want less rotational mass to have to push down the track. So we're going to take these guys off, put these guys on. I'll talk to you about how to mount these properly as soon as I get this last lug nut off. All right, so while you're in here, you're gonna look at your brakes. Make sure you got good brake pad wear left over. Check your brake lines and check out your hub. Make sure all these studs look good, nothing's jacked up. Looks good from here. We're gonna look at our fender wells, make sure they're not sagging or hanging down where they're gonna touch our other tires. Make sure when you're selecting these drag packs, go on forums, figure out what everybody else is running. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of it. I didn't do that before, and it kind of bit me in the butt because I got too small wheels that wouldn't fit over the calipers and stuff. I was trying to run 17s. These are 18s. So, I was trying to run 15s, and these are 17s. So just go on the forums, see what everybody's running. All you have to do is drag pack in your car, and there'll be 1,000 threads of what everybody's running. Everybody wants to show off their drag tires. So these are a really good deal through Jegs, and I really like them. So we're going to stick with these guys. I'm going to change this tire out to probably a Nitto or something that's more streetable for on the way to the track. Another thing is you don't want to drive on the street with these because, like I said, those have a lot of openings for stuff to get out of the way. These don't. So even if it's just a little rainy, you're going to lose traction. I had a friend who wrecked his Corvette because he put drag radials on and it just started drizzling. So just a heads up. And then if you are at the track and it starts to rain and you do have drag tires on, tow it home. Save yourself a lot of headache, or just leave it there and come back and get it the next day. Just get it just outside of the track or to a parking lot, and then go get your trailer or whatever. Call for a tow. It's better than fixing your busted front end or a couple $1,000s worth of damage. So I'm gonna put these guys on. So when you go to put these on, these are aftermarket wheels, so they fit on a large variety of vehicles. So what they give you is these little plastic spacers. So what this does is, this is a centering ring. This actually fits onto your hub assembly. It should fit snug. So you should barely be able to get this thing on and off. When you get them off, it's a pain in the butt. But that's going to center that wheel and make sure that it mounts flush and properly, and it doesn't have any play, so that it doesn't get cocked when you're putting the lug nuts on, and now your tire's out of square. So got that guy on. We'll grab our tire. Center on up there. And then these are your lug nuts. And they also come with a washer. So if you look at this washer on this side, it says wheel side. It's the opposite of the flare. So it kind of has a cup. And what you want to do is that cup is going to be up. It's kind of counterintuitive. You would think you wanted a countersunk seat or something like that. No, you want that up because that creates this spring tension against this when you put it on. But I mean, it should say wheel side on them. If it doesn't, just use the curved side out like that. And that's going to make sure that you have positive pressure against these threads and it's not going to back off. And these are super deep in there, so it's kind of hard to get in there. But we got our lucky impact gun. And what you want to do is kind of just want to use the socket, start all your threads. Kind of wiggle it around, it'll start. It's really nice to have a thin walled socket for this. I just use my regular 22 if I'm not using this. So yeah, and then we're gonna go around, put all 5 on this side. We'll go over do the rest of them. I'll go up to the front, and when we do the front, we'll do some more so I can show you the difference in thickness between the front tires that are on here, which are 9 inches wide, and the drag ones, which are about 4. All right, so now we're up in the front. You're gonna check your suspension, check all your bolts up here to make sure everything's tight. Again, check your brake line. Maybe you didn't see from the bottom enough of it. Check your pads. These pads are getting pretty low, so we're gonna do a pad change after this when we go to put the regular tires back on. These are pretty easy. You just pull out some pins and some clips and they slide out, slide the new ones in. All right, so on this car you have staggered tire widths. On the backs are 10.5 and on the fronts are 9s. And that's just the width of this tread right here. So we're going from a 10 in the back to a 9 in the front. And then this is the drag radial, which is about a 4. So if you look, it's about half the thickness of what we're driving around on every day. So keep that in mind. When you put these kind of tires and stuff on your car, it's gonna flag them. So you might have some it says traction control or power steering issues. There's a fuse you can pull on this car that kind of tells that thing to shut up. But for the most part, it's going to flag a bunch of stuff. You're going to be flagging all kinds of stuff on these newer cars anyway, just because you're going to be doing burnouts. You have to turn traction control off, and your ABS will flash and all kinds of stuff. So just be prepared. Don't think you broke your car just putting tires on it. It's kind of par for the course for these newer cars. So Chevys, Mustangs, the Dodges, all of them have issues. Some of the Dodges, they come with drag packs. So also be prepared for your TPS sensors that are in your old tires not to match up with, the drag radials, which usually don't even have TPS sensors in it. These ones do. So I reprogram it so I can just look at my tire pressures from the inside of the car instead of going out and checking them. And I also have a little tire inflator from Ryobi that is a great buy if you're going to be doing track stuff, because you're going to want to go change tire pressures and stuff like that. So I mean, I think it was like 30 or 40 bucks, but it's 3-year warranty on them. I blew one up for some reason. The tire wasn't taking pressure and it just blew a bubble right here and blew it out. It scared the crap out of me, but they just gave me a brand new one. So make sure you take everything you need. A lot of people torque their tires at the drag strip just to double check the torque on all the lugs. I do it here. I live about 3 miles from the drag strip, so and it's all highway and like back roads, so I have like multiple ways to get there. But make sure everything's torqued before you leave, and then check it again while you're there if you want. If not, I guarantee somebody has a torque wrench if you want to check it there. I have my torque wrenches here, so I know they're calibrated, they're good to go. I'm gonna finish putting this guy on and we'll do a little wrap up. so I changed where my wheels are sitting because the tires are different, and I might kick the ramps. So you're just going to check and make sure you're clear to come all the way down. We're going to get them down, get everything torqued. Alright, so we're all the way down. What I'm going to do now is, you've changed your tires, you've changed your ground clearance, you might even change the rake of the vehicle. So the back tires are way taller than the fronts, so it's kind of got a rake to it. So that's going to affect you clearing certain stuff like the lip of my lift or the lip of the shop. I've actually hit the front of the shop and destroyed my front bumper. So I had to like kind of JB weld it back together. It's good for now. We're going to change that in October. But keep that kind of stuff in mind. So we're going to get it off the lift nice and easy. We can go around and torque them all right now, but I'm going to torque them outside just because there's a little more room to get around the car. I got a bunch of stuff going on in the shop. There's a 4-player arcade machine sitting here in the way. You know, a bunch of carts in the way. So we're just going to get the car out there. We'll torque it out there, and then we'll come back in here for our finish up video. All right, so we're outside the shop now. We're going to torque all our lug nuts. Go online and just look at the specs for your rims, just to make sure you have the right torque specs. I got mine set. What you're going to do is a star pattern, just like when you put it on, to make sure they're all good. I put these on with an impact, but it's on its lowest setting to make sure I didn't over torque. You're going to just keep pushing it until you hear your click. Do 2 clicks, you're good. Go to the next one. All right, that's it. Hope I helped you out. We're going to go into final thoughts and we'll wrap it up. All right, so hopefully I gave you a bunch of tips on how to keep safe when you're going to the track. So first off, we went over checking your fluids, checking all your hoses underneath the hood, all your belts, making sure nothing's going to break or leak onto the track and cause you or somebody else to wreck. Went underneath, checked suspension, checked transmission, make sure none of that's leaking, your oil pan, your oil filter, and checked all your connections, make sure nothing's dry rotted out, none of your lines are dry rotted for your brakes. We checked the brake pads, we talked about tire selection, tread patterns, and what's best for the track, mostly just a drag radial if you're going to the track to actually do drag racing. There's nothing wrong with taking street tires out to the track and just having a good time. They're super friendly out there. Most people just want you to come out, keep the tracks open. So it's usually pretty cheap, between 10 to 30 bucks to run your car, and that's for the whole day. A lot of people don't realize how cheap it is to just go to the drag strip once a week. And then talked about torque, lug nuts, centering rings, and checking your brakes, make sure your brake pads are good. So thanks for stopping by. We're going to be over at the Big Country Raceway today is open. You could go on Big Country Raceway in Abilene and Facebook and check on what their availability dates are and when they're open. It fluctuates a lot, so you really got to keep on top of it. So thanks for stopping by Brick House Garage. Make sure you like and subscribe and have a great day.